My parents told me and my kids to skip Thanksgiving this year. Later, my sister posted a living room selfie, thankful for real family. I hit like and commented, "Love it. Gas and electric accounts are under my name. Enjoy the next bill." 20 minutes later, the post disappeared and my phone lit up with calls. My name is Jason. I'm 41 years old, and if there's one thing I've learned in 4 decades, it's that dependability gets mistaken for weakness. For the past 8 years, ever since my parents retired and their fixed income started feeling tight, I've been the one keeping things running. Not dramatically, not with announcements or expectations of gratitude, just quietly making sure the lights stayed on. I'm a heavy equipment mechanic. I work with cranes, excavators, machinery that could crush a car without slowing down. My hands are always stained with grease, my knuckles scarred from stubborn bolts. The work pays well enough that when Dad mentioned their electric bill was getting hard to manage, I didn't hesitate. I called the utility company, transferred the account into my name, set up autopay. Same with the gas. Then the home insurance when their premium spiked. It wasn't charity. It was what you did for family. My sons, Alexander and Walter, 16 and 14, mow their grandparents' lawn every Saturday morning. They handle the tech support too. New phone. Walter sets it up. Wi-Fi acting weird. Alexander troubleshoots it. Last year, I installed a full security system at the house. Cameras, motion sensors, smartphone monitoring. I told my parents it was for their safety. What I didn't mention was that I could access every camera feed from my phone, watch the house in real time, review footage from anywhere. My sister Carolyn contributes nothing. She lives 20 minutes away in a condo her ex-husband's settlement paid for. She works part-time at a boutique, spends her weekends at wine bars, and shows up at Mom and Dad's house exactly twice a month. Once for Sunday dinner, once for a photo opportunity with her 2 daughters. The pictures always end up on social media. Big smiles. Captions about family being everything. My parents share every single one. I've never been in those photos. Not once in 8 years. When I'm there, I'm fixing the garbage disposal or replacing air filters. Background noise. The help. Carolyn calls Mom 3 times a week. They talk about recipes, about Carolyn's latest hobby, about her daughter's activities. Mom laughs at things that aren't funny, agrees with opinions she'd normally dismiss. When I call, conversations last 4 minutes. Mom asks if the boys are okay, says she's busy, promises to call back later. She never does. Dad is worse. He measures worth by visibility. Carolyn's dramatic gestures, her sudden visits with expensive flowers, her loud declarations of love, those register. My steady payments, my son's labor, my constant availability, those are invisible. Expected. Unremarkable. I thought that was fine. I thought being dependable meant something. That quiet support built foundations stronger than loud performances. I thought that's what family did. You showed up. You handled things. You didn't keep score. Last month, Mom called while I was under a bulldozer, replacing hydraulic lines. She needed me to look at their furnace. The pilot light kept going out. I finished the job, drove straight over, spent 2 hours cleaning the thermocouple and checking gas flow. Fixed. Free. When I left, Dad was on the couch watching football. He didn't look up. Mom thanked me from the kitchen, her voice distracted, already thinking about something else. I didn't mind. Or I told myself I didn't. That's what you do when you're the dependable one. You absorb the oversight. You tell yourself it's enough to know you're helping. That recognition doesn't matter. I was wrong. The security cameras I'd installed weren't just about protecting them from strangers. They were about to show me exactly who I'd been protecting. The call came on a Tuesday evening. I was in my kitchen, heating leftover chili, when Mom's name lit up my phone. I answered expecting another repair request. "Jason, honey, we need to talk about Thanksgiving." I stirred the chili, phone wedged against my shoulder. "Sure. What time do you want us there? I can bring the cornbread again." Silence. The kind that makes your stomach drop before your brain catches up. Actually, that's what I wanted to discuss. Carolyn really wants this year to be more, well, intimate. Just her girls and us. A smaller gathering. You understand. The spoon in my hand stopped moving. "You're telling me not to come to Thanksgiving?" "It's not like that. Carolyn's been so stressed with work and everything. She needs some quality family time. You boys can celebrate at your place. Make it special. Maybe order a nice meal." My sons were in the living room, Alexander helping Walter with algebra homework. They've been asking about Thanksgiving for 2 weeks. Walter wanted to make pumpkin pie from scratch this year. Alexander had already claimed responsibility for mashing potatoes. Mom, the boys were looking forward to it. They're teenagers, Jason. They'll understand. Carolyn's girls are younger. They need their grandmother. And my sons don't. Her voice tightened. Don't make this difficult. It's one holiday. Carolyn does so much for us. She deserves this. I wanted to ask what exactly Carolyn did. What contributions she made that outweighed 8 years of paid utilities, free labor, constant availability. But I didn't. I just said okay. Hung up. Told the boys we'd do Thanksgiving at home this year. Walter looked confused. Alexander looked hurt. Neither argued. Thanksgiving morning, I woke up planning to ignore it all. Cook something simple. Watch football. Pretend it didn't sting. But around noon, bored and unable to stop thinking about it, I opened the security app on my phone. Just to check. Just to see if they were okay. The living room camera showed exactly what I expected. Mom in the kitchen, Dad in his recliner, Carolyn on the couch with her daughters. The coffee table was covered with dishes. Turkey, stuffing, cranberry sauce. The good china Mom only used for special occasions. Carolyn was laughing at something Dad said. Mom brought out pie. I almost closed the app. Then I saw Carolyn pull out her phone, angle it for a selfie. She tilted her head, smiled wide, made sure the Thanksgiving spread was visible behind her. Her daughters squeezed into the frame. Click. I watched her type something, hit post. 30 seconds later, my own phone buzzed. Social media notification. Carolyn had tagged the location, added a caption. Thankful for real family. The ones who show up when it matters. Real family. The ones who show up. I sat there staring at the screen. Real family. I'd shown up for 8 years. Every repair request. Every tech problem. Every utility bill. My sons had shown up every Saturday with a lawnmower and trimmer. We'd shown up so consistently, it became invisible. I opened the app's recorded footage. Scrolled back to an hour earlier. Found the moment Carolyn arrived. Watched her hug Mom. Settle onto the couch. Then I heard it. Dad's voice. Loud and clear through the security system's audio. At least we don't have to deal with Jason's boys today. Tired of them acting like doing yard work earns them something. Free labor thinking it makes them special. Mom laughed. Actually laughed. Carolyn's girls have better manners anyway. I replayed it 3 times. Made sure I heard correctly. Free labor. Better manners. Real family. I looked at Carolyn's post again. Read the comments. Mom had already replied with heart emojis. Dad's account, which Walter had set up for him, had shared it. I clicked like. Then I commented. Love it. Gas and electric accounts are under my name. Enjoy the next bill. Posted. Closed the app. 20 minutes later, my phone started ringing. I didn't answer the calls. Not the first 3 from Mom. Not the 2 from Dad. Not the 7 from Carolyn. I silenced my phone and sat on my couch, staring at the television without seeing it. Alexander and Walter were upstairs, unaware that their grandfather had just called them free labor. Unaware their grandmother thought other children had better manners. Unaware I'd just lit a match I couldn't unlight. The comments sat there on Carolyn's post, public and permanent. People were already responding. Confusion mostly. A few laughing emojis. Someone asked if I was joking. I didn't clarify. Didn't delete it. Just let it exist. The phone kept buzzing. Text messages now. Mom first. Jason, call me immediately. This isn't funny. Then Carolyn. What the hell is wrong with you? Delete that comment right now. Then Dad, his message all caps. Call your mother. I turned the phone face down. Walked into the kitchen. Made coffee I didn't drink. My hands were steady. That surprised me. I thought I'd feel angry, shaking with rage, ready to scream. But I felt cold. Detached. Like I was watching myself from across the room. For 8 years, I'd been the foundation. The person who made sure their retirement stayed comfortable. I'd rearranged my schedule for furnace repairs, spent Saturdays driving across town to fix computers, paid thousands in utility bills without asking for reimbursement. My sons had given up Saturday mornings, sweat through summer heat pushing mowers, dealt with tech support questions they were too young to be handling. And the whole time, we'd been background noise. Unremarkable. Forgettable. Free labor. I sat down at the kitchen table, opened my laptop. Started pulling up accounts. Electric company login. Gas company. Home insurance. Security system provider. Every single one showed my name. My credit card. My authorization. I didn't do anything yet. Just looked. Just confirmed what I already knew. That I had complete control. that they had no idea how dependent they were, that their comfortable retirement ran on my credit and my son's sweat. The recordings from the security camera played in my head on loop. Dad's dismissive tone, Mom's agreeing laugh, the casual cruelty of people who'd never had to wonder if the heat would stay on or the lights would work, because I made sure they didn't have to wonder. Walter knocked on the kitchen doorframe around 8 p.m. Dad, you okay? I looked up. His face was concerned, young, still believing family meant something solid. I couldn't tell him what I'd heard. Couldn't poison him with it. I'm fine, buddy. Just thinking. He didn't believe me, but didn't push. Smart kid. He went back upstairs. I went to bed around midnight. Phone still buzzing with messages I wasn't reading. Lay there staring at the ceiling. I thought about all the times I'd told myself dependability mattered. That quiet support built something real. That family meant showing up even when no one noticed. Then I thought about Dad's voice. Free labor. And Mom laughing like it was a joke. By morning, that cold detachment had sharpened into something else. Clarity. Focus. The kind of calm that comes right before you stop accepting things you should have rejected years ago. I got up, made breakfast for the boys, and started making a list. Friday morning, I called the electric company from my workshop office. The automated system recognized my account immediately. I navigated to billing, updated the autopay to pause after the current cycle. 1 month. They'd have exactly 30 days before the next bill came due in their names. Same process with the gas company. Click, click, done. Autopay paused. December's bill would arrive, and they'd see a balance they hadn't seen in 8 years. The home insurance took 3 minutes. I called the provider directly, spoke to a representative named Dorothy, who sounded tired and overworked. I need to remove this property from my policy. May I ask why, Mr. Taylor? It's not my property. I've been covering it as a courtesy. That courtesy is ending. Pause. Keyboard clicking. The policy expires at the end of January. We can non-renew at that time. You'll receive written confirmation. Perfect. I hung up. Opened the security system app. Scrolled through settings until I found monitoring services. Currently active, professionally monitored, dispatcher alerts enabled. I switched it to self-monitoring only. No more emergency response. No more professional oversight. The cameras would still work, still record, but if an alarm triggered, no one would come. I left my own access active. I wanted to see what happened next. My phone had 23 unread messages. I skimmed them while eating a sandwich. Mom's texts had evolved from angry to worried to pleading. Jason, please talk to us. We can explain. Your father didn't mean it the way it sounded. Carolyn deleted the post. Can you delete the comment? People are asking questions. Carolyn's messages were less conciliatory. You're being ridiculous. It was a joke. Stop acting like a child. Dad had stopped texting. That meant he was furious. He didn't argue through phones. He waited until he could corner you in person, use his height and volume to overwhelm. That tactic worked when I was 16. Not anymore. I responded to none of them. Instead, I opened a new document on my computer, started a log. Dates, amounts, services. 8 years of utility payments. I pulled bank statements, matched transactions, highlighted recurring charges. Electric averaged $180 monthly. Gas fluctuated, $90 in summer, $240 in winter. Home insurance, $1,400 annually. Security monitoring, $50 monthly. Conservative estimate, $42,000 total. That didn't count the furnace repair, the new water heater I'd installed 3 years ago, the roof patch after the storm, the appliances I'd replaced. Didn't count my son's labor, 200 Saturdays at minimum wage equivalent. I saved the document. Backed it up to cloud storage. Didn't plan to show anyone. Just needed to see it myself. Proof I wasn't imagining things. Proof I'd earned the right to walk away. Saturday morning, Walter asked if they needed to mow Grandma and Grandpa's lawn. I looked at him, his expectant face, his assumption that this was still his job. Not today. Not anymore. Why not? Because I said so. He accepted that. Alexander, older and more perceptive, just nodded. They spent Saturday doing homework and playing video games instead. The lawn would grow. The leaves would pile up. For the first time in 8 years, that wasn't my problem. Sunday evening, Mom called. I answered this time. Let her talk. She cried, said I was breaking her heart, asked what they'd done to deserve this. I listened to all of it. Then I said, I'll explain when I'm ready, and hung up. They showed up at my house Tuesday evening. I heard the car pull into the driveway, looked out the window, saw Dad's sedan. Mom got out first, Dad following. Their faces were set, determined. Coming to fix this. Coming to explain it away. I met them at the door. Didn't invite them in. Just stood in the doorway, arms crossed. Mom started immediately. Jason, we need to talk about this. You can't just cut us off. We're your parents. I haven't cut you off. I've stopped paying your bills. There's a difference. Dad stepped forward, his bulk intended to intimidate. Those utilities are in your name. You can't just stop paying them. That's our house. Then transfer them into your names. Call the companies. Set up your own accounts. You're both competent adults. Mom's eyes welled up. The tears she'd used my entire childhood to end arguments, to make me the bad guy for pushing back. How can you be so cruel? After everything we've done for you. I almost laughed. Almost. Everything you've done for me? Name one thing in the last 8 years. We raised you. We gave you a home. 30 years ago. I'm talking about the last 8. Since I started paying your utilities. Since my son started mowing your lawn for free. Name one thing you've given me that wasn't conditional or temporary or something you expected me to be grateful for decades later. Dad's face reddened. You don't talk to your mother like that. I just did. Mom tried a different approach. Softer voice. Wounded eyes. Carolyn feels terrible. She didn't mean what was in that post. And your father's comment, you took it out of context. I have the recording, Mom. Full audio. I heard exactly what he said. Free labor. I heard you laugh. I heard you both dismiss my sons like they're servants you tolerate. Her face went pale. You were listening? I installed security cameras. With audio. Did you forget? Dad's anger shifted to something that looked like fear. You recorded us without permission? I installed a security system in your house, with your full knowledge and consent, to protect you. The fact that it also records what you say in your own living room isn't my problem. It's yours. The silence stretched. Mom looked at Dad. Dad looked at the ground. Neither of them had a response that didn't require admitting what they'd said. Finally, Mom whispered, we didn't mean it. Yes, you did. You meant every word. You just didn't think I'd hear it. Dad tried to salvage it. Fine. We'll pay our own bills. Transfer the accounts. But you're still our son. You can't just walk away from family. I looked at him. This man who'd measured my worth by how invisible I could be. Who'd spent 8 years taking everything I gave and noticing nothing. You're right. I can't walk away from family. But I can walk away from people who treat me like an ATM and my sons like unpaid staff. And that's what I'm doing. I stepped back. Started to close the door. Mom grabbed the frame. Jason, please. When you're ready to apologize, actually apologize, not explain it away or minimize it, call me. Until then, handle your own bills. Mow your own lawn. Fix your own Wi-Fi. I shut the door. Locked it. Watched through the window as they stood there, shocked, unsure what to do next. Then they got in the car and left. Inside, my hands were shaking. But I felt lighter. Over the next week, I built the case I'd never have to present in court, but needed for my own peace of mind. Not because I doubted myself. Because I knew they'd try to rewrite history. They'd tell relatives I abandoned them. They'd paint me as ungrateful, cruel, vindictive. I needed proof. Not for them. For anyone who asked. I started with the security footage. Downloaded every file from Thanksgiving. The moment Carolyn arrived. The dinner table conversation. Dad's comment about free labor. Mom's laugh. I saved it to 3 separate drives. Backed it up to encrypted cloud storage. Timestamped. Unedited. 47 minutes of them enjoying a meal I wasn't invited to while insulting the people who kept their household running. Then I pulled 8 years of bank statements. Every utility payment. Every auto-pay transaction. I created a spreadsheet. Column 1, date. Column 2, service. Column 3, amount. Column 4, running total. The numbers climbed. $180 here, $240 there, $1,400 annually for insurance. By the time I reached the current month, the total read $42,847. That was just utilities and insurance. I added a second sheet. Repairs and improvements. New water heater, $1,200. Roof patch, $800. Garbage disposal replacement, $340. Security system installation, $2,400. The furnace servicing I'd done myself, parts only, $180. Appliance repairs, conservatively $600 across multiple fixes. Second sheet total, $5,520. I created a third sheet. My son's labor. 200 Saturdays over 8 years. 4 hours each Saturday. Conservative estimate. That was 1,600 hours. At $12 an hour, skilled lawn maintenance rate. That was $19,200. I didn't actually expect payment, but I wanted the number visible. Wanted to see what their free labor was worth. Grand total, $67,567. I stared at that number. $67,000. More than a year of my salary before taxes. Given freely. Expected to be invisible. Dismissed as nothing while Carolyn's twice-monthly visits and social media posts got called real family. I wasn't angry anymore. I was done. Next, I documented the security monitoring cancellation. Screenshot of the account change. Email confirmation that professional monitoring had ended. They still had cameras. They still had the system. But if someone broke in, no one was coming. That was their problem now. I pulled the home insurance cancellation notice. Scanned it. Filed it. Effective end of January. 2 months. After that, if something happened, fire, storm, liability, they were unprotected. I'd notified them in writing, certified mail, return receipt requested. I had proof of delivery. They couldn't claim ignorance. The utility companies had already sent transfer notices. I'd requested them in writing, keeping everything documented. Both companies sent letters to my parents' address explaining that the accounts would revert to the homeowner's responsibility effective December 31st. If they didn't set up new accounts, service would disconnect. Not my choice. Company policy. I organized everything into a single folder. Physical and digital. Printed copies of key documents. Backed up digital files. Put the printed stack in a locked drawer in my office. I didn't plan to show this to anyone. Didn't plan to justify myself. But if someone pushed, if someone demanded to know why I'd abandoned my parents, I had 67,000 reasons and 8 years of evidence. Alexander knocked on my office door around 11 p.m. Dad, you okay? I looked up from the computer. Yeah, just handling some paperwork. He lingered. Grandma called my phone. Asked if you were mad at them. My jaw tightened. What did you tell her? That you'd talk to her when you're ready. Was that okay? I nodded. That was perfect. He left. I closed the laptop. Sat there in the dark office, feeling the weight of what I'd just compiled. Evidence of 8 years of being invisible. Of being dependable to the point of erasure. Of giving until there was nothing left, and being called free labor for the effort. I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. December arrived cold and gray. The first bill hit my parents' mailbox on the 3rd. I know because Mom called me at work, her voice strained and high. Jason, there's a bill here from the electric company. It says we owe $340 for November and December combined. There must be a mistake. I finished tightening a hydraulic fitting before answering. Not a mistake. I told you I stopped paying. That's your balance. But it's in your name. For now, I requested a transfer. You need to call them, set up your own account. They sent you instructions. We can't afford this, Jason. Our retirement income. Then you should have thought about that before calling my son's free labor and laughing about it. Silence. Then, quieter, we said we were sorry. No, you didn't. You said you didn't mean it. That's different. She hung up. I went back to work. The gas bill arrived 2 days later. Another call. This time Dad. He didn't ask. He demanded. You need to pay this bill. It's $280. We can't heat the house without gas. Then pay it yourself. This is extortion. No, it's consequences. Extortion would be me demanding money to turn the heat back on. I'm just declining to pay your bills anymore. You're welcome to handle them yourself. You're going to let your mother freeze? I'm going to let 2 functional adults manage their own household expenses like everyone else their age. If you can't afford the house, downsize. Plenty of people retire to smaller places. He started yelling. I hung up. Blocked the number for 24 hours. Let him scream into voicemail. Carolyn tried next. Send an email. Subject line, you're killing them. I opened it. Jason, Mom called me crying. Dad's blood pressure is through the roof. They can't afford these bills. You're being selfish and vindictive. Whatever they said, they apologized. You need to let it go and help them. They're your parents. Act like an adult. I stared at the email for a full minute. Then I replied, Carolyn, they're your parents too. You have a job. You have income. If you're so concerned, you pay their bills. I'm sure your twice-monthly visits and Instagram posts will translate into actual financial support. Let me know how that goes. Sent. She called immediately. I declined. She called again. Declined. Third time, I answered. You're a selfish. I cut her off. I have a recording of Thanksgiving dinner. Full audio. Would you like me to post it publicly? Because I will. I'll include the part where Dad called my sons free labor, where Mom agreed they had worse manners than your daughters, and where you all laughed about excluding us. I'll post it with timestamps and context. Your choice. Dead silence. That's illegal. No, it's not. They consented to the security system. I installed it with full disclosure. Recordings made in their own home with their knowledge aren't illegal. Try again. More silence. Then, what do you want? Nothing. I want you to leave me alone. Pay their bills or don't. But stop acting like I'm obligated to fund their retirement while being treated like garbage. I hung up. Blocked her number 2. The home insurance cancellation notice arrived mid-December. Mom left a voicemail. Sobbing. Begging. Saying they'd lose the house if something happened. I didn't call back. I'd given them 2 months' notice. Certified mail. Legal and proper. If they chose not to find alternative coverage, that was on them. Christmas week, the security monitoring sent its final notice. Service discontinuation effective December 31st. The cameras would still function. The app would still work. But no emergency response. No dispatcher. No professional oversight. I left my access active. Checked the cameras once. Saw them sitting in the living room, staring at a pile of bills on the coffee table. Dad's face was red. Mom was crying. Neither was doing anything. Just sitting there, paralyzed by the reality that I wasn't coming to fix it. I closed the app, turned off my phone, made dinner for my sons. We ate together, laughing about something Walter said, just a normal Wednesday evening. Outside, snow started falling. Inside, we were warm, comfortable, unburdened, free. January came quietly. No calls, no texts, no surprise visits. I checked the security app once in early January, just curiosity. The cameras were offline. Either they'd canceled the service entirely, or they'd finally figured out how to disconnect them. Good. I deleted my access. Didn't need to see anymore. Alexander asked about it one Saturday morning while we ate breakfast. Are we ever going to see Grandma and Grandpa again? I set down my coffee. Maybe. When they're ready to treat us with respect. What if they're never ready? I'd thought about that. Late nights when sleep wouldn't come. The possibility that this was permanent. That I'd cut them out and they'd stay cut. It didn't hurt as much as I expected. Then we'll be okay anyway. Walter, quieter than his brother, added, I don't miss mowing their lawn. We all laughed. It felt good. Easy. Like we'd put down weight we didn't know we were carrying. I heard through a cousin in February that they'd moved. Smaller place. A townhouse in a retirement community with included utilities and lawn maintenance. Downsized. Sold the house they couldn't afford to insure or heat. I felt nothing hearing it. No satisfaction. No guilt. Just a distant acknowledgement that they'd solved their own problem. Carolyn unfriended me on social media. Blocked my number. That was fine. I hadn't planned to talk to her anyway. The cousin mentioned she'd helped with the move, paid for the security deposit on the new place. Apparently, she'd learned what real family actually cost. I hoped it was educational. Mom sent a letter in March. Handwritten. 3 pages. It arrived on a Tuesday. I read it once, standing in my kitchen. She said they were sorry. Really sorry, not the explaining it away kind. She said they'd taken me for granted, that they'd failed to see how much I did, that they'd been wrong to exclude us from Thanksgiving. She said Dad's health was better now that they weren't drowning in bills they couldn't manage. She said the new place was smaller but easier. She said she missed the boys. She didn't ask me to resume payments. Didn't ask for help. Just said she was sorry and that if I ever wanted to talk, she'd listen. I put the letter in a drawer. Didn't respond immediately. Gave myself time to sit with it. To decide if sorry was enough. A week later, I called. We talked for 20 minutes. Careful. Surface level. She asked about the boys. I asked about the new place. She didn't make excuses. I didn't relitigate the past. We ended the call with a tentative plan to meet for coffee. Neutral ground. No expectations. Maybe we'd rebuild something. Maybe we wouldn't. Either way, I wasn't going back to being invisible. Wasn't going back to funding their lives while being erased from their acknowledgement. If we had a relationship moving forward, it would be equal, reciprocal, based on actual respect, not obligation and exploitation. Alexander and Walter were doing fine. Better than fine. Alexander had a girlfriend now, confident in ways I hadn't been at 16. Walter made the honor roll, talked about college like it was a certainty, not a burden. They didn't ask about their grandparents much. They had their own lives, their own futures. I had mine too. Quiet Saturdays. Money in my account that used to disappear into someone else's utility bills. Sons who didn't spend weekends doing unpaid labor for people who called it worthless. I stood on my porch one April morning, coffee in hand, watching the sun rise. The air smelled like spring, like new starts, like freedom. Behind me, the house was warm, paid for, managed, mine. I wasn't anyone's fallback plan anymore. Wasn't anyone's invisible ATM. I was just Jason. And that was enough. That was everything.